Readers have asked how I collect all the different notes from the many different books that I cite in my book as well as on my online articles. And people know that I like to use a lot of direct quotations. So I really have to have a good system for collecting all those quotations and keeping them arranged by topic and by author so that I can pull them up when I'm doing my writing process. So the program that I like to use for this is called Scrivener. It retails for around $40 for a lifetime license at the time that I bought it. And right now it's around $60, I think. You can compile books with it. I just use Word to compile my book. But as far as note taking and arranging notes, it is a very powerful and elegant program. So you can see here, I've got all these different topics here: charismatic stuff, patristics, ESP, psychic stuff. Let's click this one. Near death experience, afterlife, and judgment is one of the folders that I created. And under that folder, I've put the highlights and notes from a bunch of different books that I've read here. So for example, if I click on this one, it's a chapter that Dale Allison wrote on near death experiences. And what I can do is I can go into that chapter, hit Control F, and I can search for any term that I would like. So if I type in the word report, I'll get all kinds of instances where report comes up. I can type in lucidity, and I can see the section where he talks about terminal lucidity. Alternatively, I can search this entire document and find any instances where any of the documents talks about a term. So I'll type in telepathy, and I'm going to get all these different instances where telepathy is referenced. You'll see it highlighted in yellow there. And you can get, instead of picking one or everything, you can also pick an entire section. Like, what if I want to search this all the way down to here? I want to search all of these pieces of documents, but I don't want to search everything else. Well, you just select them. So click on the first one and shift click on the bottom one. And then you're going to hit Control F. And then you can search for something like report. And you'll see all the instances where that comes up. And it will go through all the different documents you have there. So this is a tremendously powerful document. But the next question is, how did I get all of these highlights and notes over to this program? Because I read these books on Kindle, I read them on Logos Bible software, I read them on PDF files, and some of them are even print books where I went through a process to get notes on Scrivener. So the second part of this video will be how I get all of those notes onto the program. All right, so the first instruction I'm going to give is with notes and highlights on Kindle. So I like to use the Kindle app on my iPad to take a lot of my notes. I also use the Kindle, regular Kindle device as well. And the good thing is your notes and highlights will sync across all of your different apps. So even if you want to read on a Kindle Paperwhite, all of your notes will go to the iPad or Android app as well. So I'm going to go to the app, open up the book. This is a book called After by Bruce Grayson. And I've got a lot of notes and highlights, which you can view by clicking the three dots up here, clicking on annotations. And what you're going to see is all of the notes and the highlights that I have from this book. And they're listed by chapter and everything like that. So what you're going to do here is you're going to click this share box way up top. And it's going to give you an option as to how much you want to do. Sometimes there's an export limit of what % of the book that you can export, because if you highlight the whole book, then it would let you export the entire book and violate copyright. So this one is saying that I can export up to 10% of the book, which is pretty reasonable. I'm not going to pick any of these particular styles. I'm just going to click on the export button, and it's going to say preparing notebook for export. And then it's going to give me an option to email all of these notes to myself. All right, now that it's done preparing, it's going to open up the email app on the iPad, and you do need to have it connected to your email. So what I'm simply going to do is, with this attachment, it's an HTML attachment, I'm going to email it to myself. Type this addressee in here, and then I'm just going to click send. And now that HTML will show up in my email, and I can go from there to copy it over. So now that I've emailed those Kindle highlights to myself, I'm going to have this HTML file in my email. I'm going to download that, and then I'm going to open it. So it has the title right here, it has all the highlights, has the pages, it has any notes that I've taken. So what I'm going to simply do is just take I'm just going to copy all of that. I'm going to Control C for copy. Then I'm going to open my Scrivener file, and I'm going to find the appropriate folder, the NDE folder, and I'm going to right click and click on Add New Text and it's going to be Grayson after. Now you can see that I've already done this before, but just for the sake of the viewers, I'm going to do it again. So I'm going to open this file right here, and I'm just going to paste it. So now I've got all these highlights here for when I search them later. I do want to point out that there is a second way to get highlights without using the email method. What you can do is you can you can install an app called Bookcision for Chrome. I have the app bookmarked right here. And what you do is you want to go to read.amazon.com/notebook. And this is a repository for all the notes and highlights for all of your Kindle books that you have. I've only had a few problems with it in the past, but in general, it's very powerful. And you could just copy and paste all of these. That's one way to do it. But the Bookcision app is going to just bring them all into one text file. So it's very easy to copy and paste without any formatting issues. So since I have Bookcision installed, I'm going to click on it. It's going to load this. And now it's created this version of it. And you can either copy to clipboard or download. I prefer to just download a text file so I have it saved in my computer. And then I'm going to Control A to select everything, Control C to copy. And then I'm going to go over here and I'll just for the sake of the video, I'll create another one, Grayson after. And I'm going to paste them right here. So this is another way to get all of your notes and highlights from any book. In that way, you don't have to use the email function from the app itself. You can go right to that web link and do it that way. I also read a lot of books on Logos Bible software, and I should note that it's very inconvenient to read these on a computer because you have to be at the chair and it can be sort of a tedious process. So what I like to do is I use the Logos Bible software app on the iPad, and it has a very pleasant infinite scroll mode. You can do all the highlights you like. You can add notes. It's very elegant. So I can, in this book by Peter Kraft, I can add any different color highlight I like. I've got lots of them here. But for the Logos Bible software app, you can't export the notes from the iPad directly. So I'm going to show you that part on the desktop. Now, as far as notes in Logos Bible software, the best way to do this is when you're done reading the book and you want to export all your highlights, you're going to click on Tools, you're going to click on Notes, and then you want to find the book that you're trying to do. You can do this with biblical references as well, but I'm going to be choosing one of the books that I've read recently. I'm going to search for a book by Peter Kraft called Socrates, Philosophy 101 by Socrates. So I'm typing in the word Socrates, and there you can see the book came right up. Now you've got all these different highlights that I've taken. I want to export them all so that I can use them easily in Scrivener. So since I have this book selected, I'm going to click the three dots up here. I'm going to click on Print/Export. And this dialog box is going to come up. And instead of actually printing it with my printer, I'm going to choose Microsoft Word. You can copy to clipboard, but I found the formatting is a little bit better if you send it to a Microsoft Word document. So I'm going to open up Word, and it has them all separated by these big lines. So I'm going to simply Control A to select everything, Control C to copy it. I'm going to go back to Scrivener. And let's see, I want to go into my interdisciplinary folder. I'm going to add a new book. I'm going to call it Kraft Socrates. So I'm going to Control V to paste all of these different notes. And it's nothing fancy, but it gets the job done so that if you want to search anything from those notes, you have them all in here. Now, as far as reading PDF files, the best way to do this is to find an app that is going to let you highlight notes, but also export them. At first, I was using the Zotero app, which is very nice. It has folders and it has highlights, but it does not have an easy way to export highlights. So I'm going to recommend the ReadEra app on the iPad. And it's free for the Apple App Store at this time. But I also noticed that the Android version is around $3 the last I checked. This particular app, because I'm reading PDF files, I like to have it in the horizontal mode because it is easier to read. So I'm going to click on the document that I want to read. This is a dissertation that I downloaded. I'm going to click on Read, and it's going to open the document for me. And you can see that I've highlighted a few sections here. I can add a highlight. I can add a note to that highlight. I'm going to click quote on there. And if I want to make a note, I can click on more. I can click on note. And I can just type in the word test. And I've saved a note right there. So
this dissertation, I might finish 200 pages and I want to extract all the notes that I've taken. So what I'm going to do on this particular app, I'm going to click on the three dots at the top. Excuse me. I'm going to click on these three horizontal lines. And I'm going to go all the way to the right at the bottom and click on quotes. So you'll see here I've got my quotes and I've got my little note that says test. So I'm going to go to export all of them. I'm going to click the three dots at the top right and I'm going to click on share. And I'm going to use the email app again. In this time, it's actually going to put all of the quotes directly into the email instead of a separate HTML file. So again, I'm just going to email this to myself. And I'm going to click send. So I've just emailed all those notes to myself, and I can copy those onto Scrivener from there.
And with my PDF file, you can see that I've opened up the email that I sent to myself. I only put a few notes here for an example, but all you need to do is you copy and paste the whole email. You can right-click to copy. I'm going to go over to my Scrivener. And since this is a book about ESP, I'm going to open a new text right here. I'm going to call it Schwebel Dissertation. And I'm going to paste all those notes here. So now I've added all of these different books, eBooks, all their highlights into one document, one working Scrivener file, so that I can search through all of them at once. This makes it a lot easier for me to find an exact quote or find a particular topic that I'm looking for. And I don't always organize it by topics. For example, I have a whole C.S. Lewis folder where I put all of his stuff. So if I want to know what he says on a variety of different topics, I can just search in his folder.